Hi, I'm P Tobin, Principal Violist of the Williamsport Symphony. Let's listen to your 2 Vivaldi excerpts for your PMEA viola audition. So as you probably already know, these excerpts are both taken from the 5th cello sonata of Antonio Vivaldi. So this is originally music for cello. It's very worthy to study Vivaldi's writing for solo cello because his career really took place contemporaneous to the ascendancy of the cello, really the beginning of the cello being used in this way. So it's useful because we get to find out a lot from Vivaldi's music and other composers of the time, how cellists were playing, what kind of passage work they were playing. And so whenever we play cello music on viola, such as, for example, the Bach cello suites, or Bach gamba sonatas, which I love, or these Vivaldi cello sonatas, we have to make some decisions. We have to decide whether or not we're going to play this more like a violist or even a violinist, or more like the way cellists would choose to play it. And I find that often it's kind of halfway between. It's sort of a combination of those choices. So for example, when we get to this passage at the end of measure 3, the second half of measure 3, going into measure 4, we have Vivaldi here writing these leaps, thrilling string crossings that are happening in the music. And that's why we have piano staccato. So these are meant to be very short notes, and they're going to be short notes because we're going to use a lot of string crossings. So we can kind of maintain what this music was written to be, which is essentially music for cello, but we're playing it on the viola in our own sort of lovely way. So I start in what I call half position. First finger is on G sharp on the G string, and second finger is on B natural on the A string instead of first finger. Then I shift up to first position and play third finger D on the A string, first finger on E natural on the D string. And then at first position. Now here, I'm choosing to leap instead of shift up. Some people shift in this spot. I'm trying to maintain a little bit of what the cello does. I do shift later, we'll get to that. Here, in the half bar of measure 4, I reach with my low fourth finger over to the C string to cover the F sharp. Now while I'm doing that, I actually leave my second finger down all the way over on the A string. So again, back at the beginning of measure 4. So I reach for that with a fourth finger. I'm still in first position, and here's where I shift up. Now the trick there is you have to match your B natural. So the first finger on the A string to the third position, third finger on the D string. Now I'm covering F sharp with a high first finger, third position over on the C string. Low second finger for A, so I'm staying in third position. And I sort of cross my finger over, my third finger over second finger to cover the tritone from A to D sharp. Now I shift down, making sure to find an accurate first position G natural. And then the most thrilling note that we have on the viola right here. Let's talk a little bit about the passage from the second half of measure 11 going into measure 12 and 13. So here, even though our edition, I'm using the international edition, which has the transcription and edition by William Primrose. If you're a violist and you don't know who William Primrose is, you need to look him up because he's probably the most famous violist of the modern era. He was, I should say, before he passed away. In this edition, we have fourth finger for A and then open A, and that's in measure 11. Then in measure 12, we have fourth finger again on the half bar of measure 12. I don't do that because we've already gotten the color of the A string, and so I just very gently play an open A string. Let me show you what I mean. I start off with 3, 4, but then I play open A's for the rest of this. Right there, open A. Let's talk about trills in Baroque music. Unless the note before the trilled note, or in this case we have a mordent, very similar function as an ornament in this case. If the note before this mordent is not the note from above it, so one half step or whole step above it, then we want to restate that upper note. So we start the trill, in this case, at the end of measure 13, second half of measure 13. We start the trill from second finger C natural. So instead of this, that would be starting from B, we want to start from 2. So the way it sounds in context, up to speed. So pick up to measure 14, I'm choosing to emphasize the long notes, the syncopated quarter notes. So I play the bowing up, up, down to emphasize those down bows. However, when we get to measure 16, it switches. You'll see that in the music. So there, I play down on the first beat, first eighth note, and then up, up. Let me show you what I mean. Switch. Now, in excerpt 2, this is where I personally choose to play some of this passage work more in the way that a violist or violinist might play it instead of a cellist. So to begin with, in the second half of measure 27, I'm just going to go ahead and slur those first 2 16th notes so that they match the 2 16th notes in the middle of measure 28. So that essentially we have the same thing twice because it's a descending sequence. It's a descending sequence that is then interrupted. We'll get to that. And then the other one, same exact bowing. So when we get to the second half of measure 29, I'm going to play this material in a very different way from the way that a cellist would probably play this. Cellists are going to use string crossings in this passage work. For us, I think it's much smoother and more idiomatic for our instrument just to go ahead and shift for these. And specifically where I shift is on beat 2 of measure 30. I play, at the beginning of measure 30, I play 0301 in first position. But then for the second beat 2 of measure 30, I shift up and play 0123. So now I'm set up in third position. I can play the next 2 beats. Now I shift down a half step. So my first finger went from G to F sharp. Now we've got a low 2 because the half step is now between F sharp and G. And so now slightly different finger pattern, but the same fingers, 1, 4, 1, 2. Shift down to first position. Now we've got a whole step between 1 and 2. Make sure your fourth finger's high enough. Mine wasn't just a moment ago. That's better. And then here, I shift. Second finger shifts up to what would be G sharp. But instead, I don't play G sharp. In fact, when we do play G, it's G natural. But I shift up on 2 because we always shift on the finger we are leaving, not arriving. And now I'm in second position and I have a high third finger for D sharp. There's our low 2 for G natural. On A, shift down to first position now and I play 3, 2, 3. Don't be too hard on yourself. practice slowly with the metronome, and then only maybe a week before your audition, start clicking it up to performance tempo. So a good click right now to start practicing might be maybe set it to eighth notes and make those eighth notes about 100 BPM. 100 BPM click for every eighth note. That would be like this. Lastly, let me just quickly explain how I'm playing the main theme. So I just played in first position, starting second finger on the note B natural on the G string. Right here, I stay on second finger for B natural, but I sneak my first finger up as if it's in second position. Now I leave my second finger on the G string when I do this. So a high one, and then just shift that down quickly, a half step to our regular B natural first finger. Watch that again. So that was 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 0, 3, 2, 1. Anyway, so I hope that all of this has been very helpful for you. And you can always reach out to me anytime you like. I'd be happy to work with any of you individually on this. Best of luck with your audition. You're going to do great.